Should I stay or should I go? There can be a lot of confusing feelings and emotions. I want this marriage or this committed relationship. I want to keep trying. I want to keep working. I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm overwhelmed. I can't believe this. Should I stay or should I go? And in this video, I want to give you 4 questions that you have to ask and get some real clarity on so that you can make a decision about whether to stay or whether to go. Now, for some of you, you've already made up your mind, and that's fair. I'm not here to change your mind. You decided you're going to stay, or you've decided you're leaving, period. But maybe after you watch this video, you might rethink your decision. So I hope that this video will be helpful to you. My name is Rod Harrison. I'm a relationships expert. I spend a lot of time working with high-performing couples, and one of the most consistent challenges that couples face in my neck of the woods is affairs, cheating, infidelity. And so I want to help you, if this is a space you're in, think about this very important question. Maybe you got a friend, somebody you know who has gone through it, and you want to help them. Share this video with them and help them think about the question. Now, I get questions all the time, and I appreciate them, and I try to make videos related to them. So feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to make some more about your questions. All right, is that fair? Let's jump into it. Should the person who's been betrayed stay or should they go? Should they just dip, dash? I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. How could you do this to me? All fair questions and understandable. Here's the first question you want to ask. You ready? Has the unfaithful spouse disclosed everything? Like everything, every place, every time, every situation. How many times? We call this D-Day or Disclosure Day in the process of trying to help couples unpack what happened, why it happened, but more than that, what happened. Will the person who betrayed you, will they be honest with you? Brutally honest. Yeah, I was here and I did this and it was with this person, and yeah, you know that person, and I'm sorry. Like when you ask them a question, well, where were you then? They tell you the truth. Like that's what full, honest disclosure does. And you really can't tell if the person is disclosing everything right then, so it takes a little time. I've worked with couples and we've had a disclosure day. You know, it feels mostly like all the questions were asked and all the questions were answered, but you can never be certain, like right afterwards, because there is a level of shame on the part of the person who did the betraying, who was unfaithful. Now, they may hide stuff. Sometimes they say they forgot stuff. Like, I did this so many times. I didn't even remember. I couldn't remember. You were asking me. I was nervous. And so what I found is in working with couples that things can be discovered later that were not disclosed, that should have been disclosed. Would have been great if it had been disclosed. When things are not fully disclosed in the first D-Day experience and they are discovered later, it re-traumatizes, it triggers the person who's been wounded by the infidelity, and it complicates things. It takes things from a hopeful place to a, oh my goodness, here we go again. And all of the painful experiences that the betrayed person was having initially, they start having again, and sometimes on other levels. So full disclosure, complete disclosure, disclose everything. Did I say everything yet? Everything. Somebody say this with me. Disclose everything. Everything has to be disclosed so that, as painful as the disclosure is, there are no surprises later. There's nothing more to discover later, and you can actually begin moving things forward in the healing process. So that's the first question. Before you leave, maybe you need to get some space. You need to get somewhere where you can be quiet for a few days, somewhere where you can be away from the person who has wounded you so deeply. But you want to ask this question if you're contemplating whether you should stay or whether you should go. All right, here's the next question. Is the unfaithful spouse or the unfaithful partner remorseful? I ain't talking about sorry you got caught. Like, y'all know how this goes. People can be sorry they got caught, and they're like, sorry, I'm really sorry. But you're sorry now. You're sorry you got caught. Are you really remorseful that you've caused pain, that you have wounded the person who trusted you, right? Real remorse is willing to do whatever it takes to make it right. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it right. It is a full acknowledgement of the destructive force of betrayal, infidelity, cheating, affair, you name it. It's a full respect of what you cause the other person, the weight that you put on the other person, what I call in my upcoming book, the tsunami effect, this emotional tsunami where someone is hit with a wave of revelation about cheating that has put them under the table, under the bed. They don't know who they are, coming or they're going. They can't eat, they can't sleep. This is overwhelming to them. Do you acknowledge that? And are you really deeply, deeply sorry for the pain that you caused? People who've got big egos don't know what real remorse is all about, because people with big egos, an ego is simply the way they want to be seen, and they want to be seen in a good light. And that can be very narcissistic. When people have big egos, it's hard to be sorry because they hate being wrong and they hate looking badly. And so when they're protecting their image, when they're making excuses, when they're, yeah, but, and yeah, I would have, but you did this. I had one guy write to me recently and he said, well, what if my spouse wasn't treating me good? Do I have a right? Don't I have a right to go out and get what I need, what I want from somebody else? It was a fair question. Every question's fair. But it also felt like the question of somebody who was going to justify their behavior. And anytime somebody's going to justify being unfaithful to another person, they are not remorseful. Did I go too fast on that? Anytime someone makes excuses, has justifications, spends more time defending themselves, is more concerned about how it's going to make them look. Like, you're not going to tell people, are you? Like, can we keep this at home? Can we keep this between us? Like, no, this was never between us because you were already with somebody else, player or sister player. Y'all tracking with me on this? Right? Like, let's not play this game like you're sorry you got caught, but you're not really sorry because you're justifying, you're defending, and if they have not made a clear break with the person or the people that they cheated with, if they got to keep them in their phone, if they don't want to, if they got two phones, but they don't want to give up a phone, are y'all tracking with me right here? Like, that's not remorse. If they're not willing to do whatever it takes to make things right, to give the person who was betrayed the feeling of safety, they don't have real remorse. And if there's not real remorse, you have to decide whether you should stay or whether you should go. Here's the third question. Are they committed to deep self-healing? Like, they are committed to deep self-healing. They're ready to heal. They know something's not right just by virtue of what they did. They know that they were not thinking right. They know that there's a pattern, that this cheating, this infidelity comes from somewhere. Oh yeah, it comes from somewhere. This doesn't happen out of the blue. It's not like people just wake up and, I think I'm just going to go and be unfaithful to my spouse or to my partner. I'm just going to, I just feel like it. No, it comes from somewhere. And most often, it's not a one-time event. Most often, it's a several times event. A guy called me. I was recommended to him. He'd been addicted to pornography, and he's a pastor's kid. He's a pastor's son. He's an adult with a family of his own, and they'd been going through these cycles of his infidelity. And the most recent event was that he got caught in the car with another woman, prostitute, parked somewhere in a city, and the police came knocking on the door. So he called me. He reached out to me. He said, hey, I wonder if you can help me. I'm in trouble. I want to save my marriage. I want to, I'm tired of hurting my wife. He was saying all the right things. I said, are you ready to do some real deep self-healing? Are you ready to do some deep work to heal? He said, well, yeah, I'm ready. I want to get better. I want to get fixed. And I want to stop doing this to my wife and to my family. I said, okay, well, my coaching is going to cost $20,000 for us to work together because you got a lot of healing and work to do. I said, are you ready to make the investment? I didn't bat an eye because I know it's going to be work. The price is the price. He says, well, let me call my wife. I really want to work with you. He just goes on and on and on. He says, I'm going to call you back, right? Those are the famous last words, right? I'm going to call you back. I'll reach back out to you. You know, I didn't hear from him. And so about a week later, hey, I'm just circling back. You said you wanted help. You wanted to do some work to heal. Like, I've been working with people in this space, especially men, for a long time. Sex addictions, porn addictions, affairs. I've been working with couples for a long time in this space. People in the professional world of sports and business. I am not a Johnny come lately. I'm not the new kid on the block. This is not my first rodeo, as they say. He said, my wife said we can't do that. The question is, are you committed to deep self-healing? Do you know the cost of divorce when there's been an affair? I was like, hey man, if you lose your marriage, and you may lose your marriage and your family, you're going to pay the price for a divorce lawyer. You're going to pay the price to divvy up the assets. You're going to pay the price to be in 2 separate homes. You're going to pay the price to have to take care of alimony and child support. You're going to pay the price, right? But you're not willing to pay the price for your healing. You're not serious. And I didn't talk to his wife, but I wonder if she's still with him. Because when somebody is not willing to do whatever it takes to heal, you will not be able to do anything to make them be willing to do the work to heal. Did I go too fast on that? If they're not willing, if they can't see that there's something wrong, they will not be willing to do the work to heal. I'm always encouraged when people know that they got work to do and they're willing to invest in doing the work themselves. I've had people spend literally tens of thousands of dollars annually, because they want to continue doing the work. They want to continue doing the work. They said, I will pay the price for this kind of coaching because it's helping me. And let me tell you, when you see people start to shine and their connection and their marriage get back together, because sometimes they make decisions to stay, like the betrayed spouse said, I'm going to stay if he's willing to do the work. This couple I'm talking about. And I met with them yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they're looking amazing. They're coming along. Their whole conversation is changing. Their trust is reviving more and more and more. It's amazing to watch the transformation of somebody who's willing to do the hard work of healing. This particular client that I've been working with, client couple, he especially grew up in a very traumatic background where his thinking and his conversation and his understanding of the lines of fidelity was so jacked. But he's healing. He's changing. Guess why? Because he's willing to do the work. He's willing to make the investment. I don't know who this video is for besides you. And the question is, are you willing to do the work? Or the person who hurt you, are they willing to do the work? By the way, if you're the person who's been betrayed, you got some work to do too. You got to do some work. All right, you got to do some healing work. Here's the last question. Are they willing to take full, complete responsibility to lead the healing journey? Like when somebody has betrayed their partner, their spouse, the person who's trusted them, when they betrayed them, like you are responsible to lead the train. You got to take the journey. You got to lead the train. You got to be the one to go out and say, I will do what it takes. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the coaching help that we need. I'm going to show up. I'll remind you of when the sessions are, when it's time to do work outside of the sessions. Hey, remember, we have to do this work. Like, they're willing to lead it. They're not putting it off on somebody else. They're not making excuses. They're doing everything necessary to lead the journey. That's how you know that somebody is all in, right? The question is, are they willing to be responsible to lead? This is for the unfaithful spouse has to be willing to lead the journey to restoration. Now, it doesn't mean that they pull the other person and that the person who's been betrayed doesn't have work to do as well. Both people need to do some work because, in fact, it's possible for the person who was betrayed to begin to sabotage the process. And so if you were betrayed, let me just say, you can't spend the next 2 years just griping, moaning, raging, snapping, going off, and claim that you're trying to do work also, because it takes two to tango. If you're going to heal, you have to both do the work. You have to both do the work. So let me invite you to get a copy of my upcoming book. You can get on my mailing list, or you can pre-order your copy, Emotional Tsunami: Finding Common Ground, Finding Firm Ground, Solid Ground After Infidelity, Finding Solid Ground After Infidelity. I'll take you through the entire process of what it means to heal, right? We'll talk through some of these questions in the book. It's a guide for couples, sometimes for therapists, coaches, counselors, pastors, lay leaders, anybody working with couples who are going through this. But if you're a couple who's going through this, you're going to want this book, because it's going to give you a pathway how to take this journey. Even if you're working with a coach, at least you need something that can tell you this is how it goes to get to the place of healing. Emotional Tsunami. You can see the link down in the description. I invite you to it. I also want to invite you to our Intimacy Reset Challenge for couples who are trying to revive, restore intimacy in their marriage. And when there has been an affair, intimacy is decimated. I want to teach you how to regain the spark. And on this journey of recovery, if there's been infidelity, trust has to be rebuilt. And how does that happen? So it's the Intimacy Reset Challenge. It is a 5-hour challenge, 1 hour per night. If you get the VIP ticket, we add an extra hour of private coaching, or rather group coaching with me, but it's private. It's private. It's a private conversation where I take your questions and I answer them and give you very pointed guidance so that you can rebuild intimacy. So you can stop living like roommates. So you can stop being like, well, I love this person, but I'm not going to leave them, but I just don't like how we got this icky feeling of unresolved tension, and my needs are not met, and they don't seem to care about my needs, and they're complaining about similar things, and we just are not on the same page. Let's help you get that fire back. That's the Intimacy Reset Challenge. The link is in the description as well. But that is the fourth question. Are they willing to lead the journey? This journey that includes restitution, that includes humility, that includes all of these things that are necessary. It includes being transparent. It includes being honest. It includes being willing to do some important work. And so, should you stay or should you go? You have to answer that question for you. But I can tell you this, if you're married and you have a family, you have kids, it's worth giving it the right kind of effort. But you got to see that the person is answering these questions in the best way. I hope your marriage survives, because it's such a powerful relationship when it's going well. And my prayer for you is that God will give you the grace to recover. Even if your spouse is not the person who's willing to lead in the ways that I just described, I pray God will give you the grace to recover, because you still got to recover. I hope this was helpful to you today. It's been great to be with you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure that you come and join us in the Intimacy Reset Challenge. Don't forget Emotional Tsunami. It's going to be a great resource to help you on your journey to recovery. Whether you stay together or don't stay together, you need to recover.